Good morning, students. Welcome again. We will be starting with the last chapter of NCERT, Class 10 Geography, Chapter 7, Lifelines of National Economy. When the word lifeline comes, what image does it bring to your mind? It can be the blood vessels in the body through which blood is distributed to body tissues. Similarly, on that note, when we say lifelines of national economy, we are referring to the chain network of transportation and communication that regulates the movement of goods and services from the supply location to the demand location. Transportation and communication is called as the lifelines of the country. Lifelines mean it is a support system. We can compare the transportation and communication system as the veins and arteries of our body. It means it provides support to the allied sectors. It provides raw materials to the industries. It supports the agricultural sector. It supports trade. It is a backbone of tourism. And it is a base of globalization. It supports our defense system. And it also helps in the national integration and so on. So efficient transportation and communication are the prerequisite for fast development. So in this video, we are going to learn about how modern means of transport and communication serve as lifeline for its nation and the economy. So now let's analyze a flowchart. So if you look at this flowchart, it's pretty self-evident that it's explaining about the different means of transport. In this chapter, we will learn basically about the transport network. When we classified the transport network, we have land transportation, water transportation system, and air transportation system. Land transportation can be further classified as roadways, railways, and pipelines. Roadways and railways are quite familiar to us. Pipeline transportation. It means it is a long distance transportation of a liquid or gas through system of pipes, typically to a market area for consumption. So pipeline transportation means through the system of pipes, we are transporting liquid or gas. And underwater transportation system, we have inland water transportation system and overseas water transportation system. Waterways, when we say inland, it mainly focuses on the rivers that flows within the nation. So inland water transport means the river navigation within the nation. That is the navigation by the means of rivers like Ganga, Brahmaputra, Krishna, Godavari, Narmada, Tapi, and so on. So all these riverine tracks would be inland navigation. And when it comes to overseas, it would be the peripheral areas or else the coastal areas of India from where you can export and import the products. And the next type of classification is air transport. Again, it is further divided into domestic and international. So domestic means within the country, and international means linkage beyond the country. So now let's learn one by one in detail, starting with the land transportation system. Here we will be learning in detail about roadways, railways, and pipeline transportation. First, we will learn about roadways. India has the largest road network in the world, about 2.3 million kilometers. Roads are more feasible than any other modes of transport. Why? What is the reason? Why road transports are more feasible than any other modes of transport? The primary reason is construction cost. The construction cost of roadways is comparatively cheaper than other means of transport, and we can always travel through roadways on a dissected topography. Dissected means separated or divided, and it is easy to reach remote areas by means of roadways. Again, if there is a very steep gradient, travel through roadways is much easier. Construction of roadways is difficult in a steep gradient. Gradient means slope. So what I said is construction of railways is difficult in a steep gradient like mountains such as Himalayas. Roadways is more economical and one-time cost, and it can also provide door-to-door services. For example, if you look on the railway network, it can connect only to the main cities. So let's say it will connect Bombay to Delhi, or else Bangalore to Bombay. So like that. So, but if you want to travel a particular colony or else a particular place in a city, that is possible only through the roadways. Roadways act as a feeder for other transportation. For example, let's say I have a container that comes on to the ocean. From this container shipment, I have to transport from Bombay to Delhi. So this container has to move from ship to train, and this would be connected through road. So from ship, it will go to road, and from roadways, it will go to railways, and finally, it will be transported to Delhi. Therefore, we can say road transport is a feeder to other modes of transport because they provide a link between railway stations, airport, and seaports. Now let's analyze the different types of roads, the common types of roads. Basically, it is metalled road and unmetalled road. Hope we all are familiar with these two types of roads. So metalled roads are the Pakka roads, and it is all-weather roads, and it is made up of concrete, bitumen, and coal. And the unmetalled road that accounts for half of the total railways in India. They are commonly found in the village and the peripheral areas. Now let's move on to the classification of roads. When we classify roads under 6 basic heads. We need to learn all the 6 different headings slightly in detail, starting with the national highways. The first, as I said, under classification of road is national highways, and the national highways, which is maintained by the CPWD, it means the Central Public Works Department. Now these connects the major centers across India. The highways connects the major centers across India. And the national highways comes under the central government. The first road that started from Sher-Shah Suri Road, which is from Delhi to Amritsar, it is the NH1, National Highway 1. Then we have NH8, that is Delhi-Mumbai highway. And then we have NH7, that is from Varanasi to Kanyakumari. And this NH7 is considered as one of the longest highways. So all these highways are maintained by the CPWD, Central Public Works Department. And next we have the state highways. State highways which are maintained by the state, which join the state highways, join the state capital or the major cities. And it is constructed, the state highways are constructed and maintained by the PWD, that is Public Works Department in state and union territories. So the state highways are constructed and maintained by the Public Works Department in state as well as in the union territories. And then we also have the district roads. District roads connect the district headquarters with other places of the district. It means it connects the places within the districts. And the district roads are maintained by the Zilla Parishad. And then we have the rural roads. These rural roads are built under the Pradhan Mantri Gramin Sadak Yojana. Under this scheme, every village in the country is linked to major town in the country. These roads link rural areas and villages with the towns. And next we need to learn about the border roads. What do you mean by border roads? The Border Roads Organization, it is a Government of India undertaking that constructs and maintains the border roads. So the border roads, the construction and maintenance of the border roads was taken care by the Border Roads Organization. It is a Government of India undertaking. And these are the roads that built at the border areas. The area in contact with the border areas like our Pakistan area and the area touching the China border, the north, the northeast, the northwest. So in all these areas, we have the border roads. So these border roads, we have the border security force employed. The border roads have made possible the movements of Jawans and the weaponry to the friends swiftly and efficiently. So these roads boost the economy of people living in areas of difficult terrain. That's all the key points about the border roads. Next, we need to learn about the Golden Quadrilateral Superhighways. So the two major road network that started off recently, that is the Golden Quadrilateral and the East-West and North-South corridor. So this Golden Quadrilateral project was planned in the year 1999 and launched in the year 2001 and completed in the year 2012. The Golden Quadrilateral was launched by Atal Bihari Vajpayee in the year 2001. And this was the largest highway project. The project was undertaken by National Highway Development Project and it was managed by NHAI, that is National Highway Authority of India. And when we say the Golden Quadrilateral, it means it is connecting the four metropolitan, that is Delhi, Kolkata, Chennai, and Mumbai. So these four metropolitans connected by road, it is known as Golden Quadrilateral. So Golden Quadrilateral means it is connecting our four metropolitan cities. I'll repeat once more: Delhi, Kolkata, Chennai, and Mumbai. So connecting these four metropolitan cities by road. is known as Golden Quadrilateral. And the objective of this superhighways is to reduce the time and distance between the mega cities in India. And the Golden Quadrilateral project helps the country to establish faster transport networks between major cities and ports. And it also helps in the smooth movements of goods and people within India. Our Golden Quadrilateral enables industrial and job developments in smaller towns through the access to markets. So within these four metropolitans, we have high metro train that has been developed, that is known as Diamond Quadrilateral. So Golden Quadrilateral is different from the Diamond Quadrilateral. It means Golden Quadrilateral means connecting these four metropolitan cities through roadways, that is known as Golden Quadrilateral. Diamond Quadrilateral means connecting these four metropolitan cities through railways, so that is known as Diamond Quadrilateral. So Diamond Quadrilateral is a high-speed railway network between the four metros. So Diamond Quadrilateral fall under railways and Golden Quadrilateral fall under roadways. So both of them are some of the recent schemes that has been released. Then under this heading itself, I specified about the east-west corridor and the north-south corridor. So east-west corridor connecting Silchar in Assam to Porbandar in Gujarat. North-south corridor talks about connecting Srinagar in Jammu and Kashmir to Kanyakumari in Tamil Nadu. So these are the basic road networks that we have. So by this, we concluded today's class. Now let's have a quick recap of today's class, what we learned. So today we learned about the chapter 7, lifelines of national economy. So first in this chapter, we learned that the transportation and communication system, we can compare as the vein to our vein and arteries in our body. And we learned that the movements of goods and services can be over three important domains. There we learned that we have land transportation system, water and air transportation system. So first, we learned in detail about the road transportation system. Under roadways, we discussed that India has one of the largest road networks in the world. And we learned about the growing importance of the road transport over the rail transport. And there we learned a few specific points. That is, in road transportation system, the construction cost of road is much lower than the railway lines. And roads can cover more geographically hardened locations that cannot be done by the railways. And roads can negotiate higher gradients of slopes and can be easily built in traverse mountains such as the Himalayas. And then we learned that road transport is economical comparing to the rail transport. And it also provides door-to-door service, and road transport provides links between the railway stations, air and seaports. In India, roads are classified under 6 classes according to their capacity. There we discussed about the national highways, state highways, district roads, then the other roads, then border roads, and the Golden Quadrilateral superhighways. Under national highway, the key point what we discussed is the national highways are a network of trunk roads that are laid and maintained by the Central Public Works Department, that is CPWD, and the historical Shershah Suri Marg is called as National Highway 1 between Delhi and Amritsar. And then we discussed about the state highways. It means the roads linking a state capital with different district headquarters are known as state highways. And these roads are connected and maintained by the state public works department, that is PWD. Then we discussed about the key points of district roads. The district roads connects the district headquarters with other places of the district, and these roads are maintained by the Zilla Parishad. Then we learned about the other roads, that is the roads in the rural areas, the rural roads which link rural areas and villages with towns are classified under this category. And these roads received special impetus under the Pradhan Mantri Gramin Sadak Yojana. And then we discussed about the border roads. Border roads organization constructs and maintains roads in the border areas of the country. This organization was established in 1960 for the development of the roads of strategic importance in the northern and northeastern border areas. Roads can also be classified on the basis of the type of material used for their construction, such as metalled road and unmetalled road. And metalled road, we learned that it is a Paka road. It is made up of cement, bitumen, and coal. And these are all weather roads. And unmetalled road, mm, it will go out of use in the rainy season. It means it is difficult to travel in the unmetalled road during the rainy season. Then finally we discussed about the golden quadrilateral superhighways. Quadrilateral, it is a network of highways connecting India's four top metropolitan cities, namely Delhi, Kolkata, Chennai, and Mumbai. And these highway projects are being implemented by the National Highway Authority of India. So by this, I'm concluding the first part of Geography Chapter 1, Lifelines of National Economy. Thank you, students. Have a good day ahead.